Welcome, everybody. The day has finally come. I can't believe it. This is the very first episode of my brand new podcast, The Info Dump. My name is Ashley. I am going to be your host from here on out. I'm the managing director and the creator over at the ADHD Executive. You can find us at the ADHDexec.com. That's the ADHDexec.com. But getting on with the show, for my first guest, I had the honor and the privilege of interviewing a very dear friend of mine, Renee Hughes from thearomaspecialist.com. Renee is a certified professional aromatherapist and a natural health consultant and business coach. She likes to empower other aromatherapists to elevate their business through captivating speaking. And as you will find out in this episode, also by tweaking something else that she has discovered is extremely important in business. In fact, it is so important that she was able to take her business to six figures in 6 months after she changed this one thing. The first thing was, I want you to share a little bit about your journey as far as becoming a certified aromatherapist and how it led to you being able to do that successfully part-time. Because most people think in order to be successful that you have to do this full-time on a full-time scale.
Yeah,
So how were you able to do that?
Yeah, so when I started my health and wellness career in around 2013, and I was doing MLM.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was like, I wanted to go to school and be certified, but I thought I was too old, and I was just like, I can't learn anything else right now. But it just was burning in me that I wanted to do more than what I was doing. And so I dived in and I first got my certification while I was still building a team with MLM. And I did really good with that, actually. I made it to executive level and it was fun and I learned a lot. But what I do now, my salary tripled and the enjoyment of it is far beyond, anything that I was doing before. So even while I was doing that, I first got my certification as a natural health consultant.
Okay.
That took me 2 years. And I loved it, but it was one of those things where I don't know if you've ever gotten educated on something and it's almost like you come out the other side like I just learned like I feel like I don't know even more now. It
Yeah.
was so much studying and so
Yes.
much about the body and the systems and how food works with us and the environment. And there was just so many things, and I loved it. But it made me want to dig in more. And the marketing side of my brain, because my background was really in business,
Mm-hmm.
said to me, I can't do all of this. What do I really want to do, and what impact do I want to make? I knew that much. And so a little part of the course was on aromatherapy.
Okay.
And then by that time, my company had been bought by an aromatherapy company. And so I was like, this is kind of perfect. I love aromatherapy. I would love to specialize in something. And so then I went back to school and did another certification course to become a certified aromatherapist. And then from there, all my continuing education and everything that I could get my hands on from other certified professionals
Mm-hmm.
that worked with the mind and the brain, because I wanted psycho-aromatherapy to be the path that I went through. So that's kind of the journey as far as getting the certifications. At the time, before I finished the aromatherapy certification, I had already kind of transitioned out of working in network marketing and into my own coaching practice. And the ladies that I was coaching at that time, it was more with pain
Mm-hmm.
management. And I was kind of working with them with food and supplements and remedies and things like that based on the certification I had gotten earlier. But then, of course, aromatherapy just, as far as pain management gave you so much more. And we started to notice the dramatic impact on their emotions,
Okay.
having more balance, getting rid of fears, being able to just control their lives a
Right.
lot better than they had before because we now knew how to use them. It wasn't just, grabbing a bottle and, like we learned how to really use them. And so got dramatic results with that. And Then I started a program called the Mood Makeover Method. And that was my first high ticket item that started catapulting me to that first six figures. And the way I did it working part time is number one, having a VA. I would not have done it if I had not had a team member.
Okay.
At the time, I had, trying to think if I had one or two. I think I already had two at that point. Yeah, I had Lakeisha and Shar.
Mm-hmm.
They both were working very part time.
Okay. Because Lakeisha's been
So
with you for a long time.
yeah, she's
I
been
re-
with me for a long
yeah.
time.
Okay.
Yes, and I had people before her, and I learned early on you can't do this by yourself.
Right.
It's not the best method to even try. And so I know a lot of you who are newer business owners, you're thinking, well, I'm not to that point yet. I can't pay that. Well, here's what I want to tell you. Get a credit card and charge it. Now, Randy and I don't believe in debt. We believe in trying to get your debt paid off as soon as possible. But you have got to have a team member.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to, if you want to do this, especially if you want to work fewer hours. So that's one of the ways we did it is having, team members. But the other thing that changed was really honing in on my messaging. Having that specialty, having very clear, specific, motivating words to give to people so that they knew exactly what it is that they were going to get from me. And that's what allowed people to feel comfortable investing at higher and higher rates.
Okay.
So I always tell this story of when I first started my program, like I couldn't pay people to come and do it, like crickets. And there were a few people that invested, and I was doing really low packages, like $150
Mm-hmm.
for, I can't remember how many visits or whatever. And some of those same people who said no to me or who did it but never showed up for their appointments later paid me thousands of dollars for a very similar program
Wow.
that all had to do with messaging
Okay.
and speaking, messaging, having that combination of messaging, knowing what to say and how to say
Right.
it changed everything. So when you're able to charge at a higher level,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to get you that consistent income faster to be able to charge more. In order to do that, you have to get people results. So you have to be very clear about what those results are, get those, and then share it with people. And that's going to get you the higher ticket. And the combination of having that higher ticket, having a team, being very clear, those are the things that I think that helped me to get there.
Okay. Fantastic. You
Yeah.
touched on quite a few things, and I want to make sure that we get back to both of those.
Okay.
Because the messaging, which we're going to highlight that a little later on, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
definitely get back to that. But
Yeah.
also, when you said that you can't do this by yourself, you can't do this alone. I think a lot of new business owners and entrepreneurs do try that.
Yes.
And many times it may have to do with the fact that you are just starting out. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have all the funds and you're trying to
Right.
do as much as you can by yourself to
Mm-hmm.
save. But let me ask you this. Do you feel that that's also where some of the overwhelm and the anxiety comes into play? Because you're trying
Exactly.
to wear all these different hats and
Mm-hmm.
figure so many different things out. And some of those things might not be your specialty, or it might be something that you can handle, but then it takes your attention away from what you need to be working on. So now you're overloaded with all these different tasks.
That's exactly it, Ashley. It's,
Uh-huh.
you cannot do everything. And so when you're trying to think about it, if you're trying to create something, it takes a certain part of your brain that's going to help you to create those
Mm-hmm.
big things, the offer itself, and then deliver that offer
Deliver it.
in a way that it's going to get people results. If you are weighed down and overwhelmed, what we call the weeds of your business,
Right.
you're doing all the things. It's not a realistic thing. And I know that people, they just say, I don't have the funds starting out, but one of the things that I really like for people to know at the beginning part of their, for example, our mastery program where people work with us now,
Mm-hmm.
you can't even be in our program if you don't have a VA.
Gotcha. Oh,
It's a
okay.
waste of time. We require people to have a VA in order to sign
In
up for
order
that
to do it.
program because there's too much to do And we need you to be able to be in the creative mindset where you can get that messaging down
Okay.
and we can nail these offers and stuff together. And you can't do that if you're trying to figure out how a landing page works and do this and do that. You need to hand that off to somebody who knows how to do it. They probably could do it in like half the time that you would do it. And it's going to really get rid of that overwhelm. So, being an entrepreneur, it takes a strong stomach because you have got to come up with some capital. You really
Yeah.
do. You have to, because you need coaching and you need a VA. Those are two things that I learned. I could tell a whole nother story about that. I won't get into that whole thing, but when Randy and I both invested in coaching, it completely changed the
Everything
landscape of our
changed.
business because there's things you just don't know and you don't think about, you
Right.
know, and you just need that guidance. It puts you in a completely different mindset. It's expensive. It's expensive on the front end of running a business, but you will get it back if you do it properly.
Right.
And that's just something that you have to get used to as an entrepreneur.
It's an investment. You have to consider
It's
it
an
as an
investment.
investment.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to you were talking about the importance of messaging because you said that was a major thing that changed for you that helped
Mm-hmm.
you to be able to build your business and reach the six figures in a shorter amount of time
Mm-hmm.
because your messaging changed. Now
Yeah.
you have a program or a
Mm-hmm.
challenge coming up.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that, the Bolden Book Challenge. Um,
Yes.
what inspired you to create that program,
Mm-hmm.
and what can participants expect to gain from it? Tell us a little bit more about the Bolden
Oh,
Book.
that's good questions. So Bolden Book, the last, oh gosh, several years, I want to say 4 or 5 years, we've
Mm-hmm.
been doing events. So that's what how I built my business. It's called live launching. So I always will have events, and that's how I introduce people to my larger programs.
Okay.
Um, and we change the theme, every year or so. So Bolden Booked has been what we've done the last year and a half. And we've done it in different ways, a masterclass, a workshop, and this one is a challenge. We were going to do one more, but I actually just announced this morning. This Bold and Booked is actually going to be the last because I had a
What?
brainchild of what the next thing is going to be. I'm not going to tell you yet,
Okay.
but so this is the last Bold and Booked. So what we decided to do is open it up. General admission is now free. It's usually $97, and people had already paid that, and people had already paid for their VIP, which was $297.
Mm-hmm.
And so we compensated them for having already purchased and said, we're celebrating the last Bolden book. We usually do that when we do a series, the last one in it will either be at a big discount or it'll be free.
Okay.
And so this one it starts September 11th. As far as what people can expect, we're going to be focusing on, so Bolden Book has become popular for actually getting things done. So when you look at
Mm-hmm.
people's results, we had at least two or three clients who signed on, high ticket clients. Not even, I think only one of them went into my higher price program. The other two have not done that yet, and they had already benefited just coming through a Bolden Book. So it's about getting more traffic in less time. It's about attracting people using your messaging and your speaking skills, and we actually practice it. So you're doing it. It's because another thing we tell our mastery clients is we want your schedule to not only be work days, your learning days and your work days are not the same. Because what happens is a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll get lost in education and they're doing a webinar after webinar after webinar, but they're not actually
Yes.
working in their business.
Right.
Bold and Booked is a work day because you're not just sitting there getting education, you're actually putting things to practice so we spend 5 days together. It's only like 2 hours at the beginning for me to show you, teach what you're going to be doing for the day,
Mm-hmm.
um, have you sample it, and then ask any questions, and then everybody's going to go and do this particular thing. There'll be collaborations and networking mixed in there, but the primary thing is to help people to maximize the traffic that's coming to them using their messaging, using what they say and how they say it. So we're going to really zone in on that, helping people with their specialty, with their offer, wherever they are. And the other big piece that we're going to talk about when it comes to speaking,
Mm-hmm.
people always think speaking is just speaking gigs or doing things like this, getting an interview, which we do teach about. but it's also sales conversations. This is where a lot of folks, especially people who are in the health and wellness field, but people in any industry will benefit from this. I just usually work with people in health and wellness. People are scared to death to talk about money.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
It's so hard,
but it's
for them
true.
to just say, "This is my rate. This is my package. This is it," and then to give. When you do it in a way where people understand the benefit, they know exactly what's going to happen on the other side of that. It's a whole lot easier to say, this is the investment, So we're going to practice that until everybody is feeling a whole lot more calm and comfortable to invite people into their programs at the rate that they're supposed to.
They're supposed to, yeah, because it can be, it can make you cringe.
It's so cringe. It's like,
and why do you think that's the case? Because I can identify with that. Why is it so uncomfortable for us to do that? So, my dear listeners, this is the conclusion of part 1 of our podcast series featuring the incredible Renee Hughes from thearomaspecialist.com. In this first half, we were able to dive deep into her journey from the very beginning, the inception of her business, all the way to the point where she was able to achieve an astonishing 6-figure income, only working part-time, in just 6 months. And I think you will agree with me when I say it's been a whirlwind of insights and inspiration. So if you have been feeling inspired by Renee's story and you want to take your business to the next level, make sure you check out the Bold and Booked challenge that's coming up. That's at boldandbooked.com, and it will be a golden opportunity for you to supercharge your own business growth. Now, before we wrap up part 1, if you remember at the end, we were going to explore a question that often hides in the shadows of the business world. Why is it so uncomfortable? Why is it so incredibly uncomfortable for us to talk about money and prices in business? But don't go anywhere just yet. This is only the beginning of Renee's extraordinary journey. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into her strategies and insights. And we'll also take a look at some things that entrepreneurs, especially neurodivergent business owners, can do to reduce the overwhelm and the anxiety that comes from running a business.